Good morning and Jai Hind students. You are welcome once again in this class. Children, in today's class, we shall discuss modal auxiliary verbs. As you can see here before you on the screen, that we have already discussed in the previous classes. Since some of the students had requested for some more lectures on modal auxiliary verbs, so here you are. Children, you know very well that what modal auxiliary verb is. You know, auxiliary means helping verb, okay, and modals come in the category of helping verbs. Okay, when we were discussing verbs, there we discussed that verbs are divided in two parts: main verbs and helping verbs. And main verbs were divided in five parts. Basically it has three parts: v1, v2, v3, but the fourth one, when we use v1 plus ing, this is the fourth part, and when we add s or es in main verb, it is v5, means singular form of the verb. In fact, the verb which is written in ing is the present participle form of the verb. Okay, and there you learned that the helping verbs are divided in two parts: primary verbs and modal auxiliary verbs. Primary verbs are is, am, are, was, were, have, has, had, be, been, being, all sort of things. Okay, there may also come do, does, did, dare. Do may also be used as main verb and can also be used as help primary verb. Okay, and there modal auxiliary verb can, could, will, would, shall, should, may, might, ought to, must, dare, need, like that. So let us see something more in this. Let us see what sort of examples are given with the definitions. So first of all, see that it is written a verb is the part of speech. We have also discussed part of speech. There you learned that verb was also one of it. So there it express action, condition and being. Means when you see a verb, you come to know what sort of action is being done, okay, or happens or is happening, and or what is the condition of anything. So verbs tell you the things, okay. Verbs tell you about the action, okay, or the condition. Next is verb change form to indicate person, number, tense, that you have learned in subject verb agreement, children, that whenever the subject changes, the verb changes itself. Means if the person is plural, you will use plural verb. If the number is many, means plural, you will use plural verb as per the subject verb agreement. Singular subject is equal to singular verb and plural subject is equal to plural verb. You have read this in the way. Next is tense. Tense, you know, tense is concept of time. So whenever you want to show time, so there you make use of tense. The verb also shows us tense. Next is voice and mood. So voice is something that you use there to show action done by subject or object. Okay. So voice is actually active or passive voice. If somebody asks you what is voice, so there you will answer that voice is a form of verb. Okay, voice is a form of verb. Further, it is divided in two parts: active voice and passive voice. Okay, next is children mood. The verb shows how the expression is made. Okay, what the subject wants to convey is called mood. Okay, so if the person is speaking something in a happy manner, in a sad way, so that is described in the sentence with the help of verb. Okay, so this is showing its mood. Next is the main verb of a sentence is often preceded by one, means next to this, by one or more auxiliary or helping verbs which together form a complete verb. Means the main verb of a sentence is often preceded by one verb. Means whenever you make use of main verb, there you always use preceded by, means there comes next. So there comes next, whenever you make use of main verb, there comes next another verb, and it is helping verb, children. It is helping verb or auxiliary verb which helps the main verb. Whenever you make use of main verb, there you use helping verb which together form a complete verb. Okay, so auxiliary verbs include forms of have, has, have, had, do, does, do, did. These are also auxiliary verbs. And be, so from be you derive be, am, is, are, was, were, being, been. That I told you that falls in the category of primary auxiliary verb. So as well as 9 modal auxiliary verbs. So 9 modal auxiliary verbs also come in the category of auxiliary verbs. Okay, here you can see auxiliary verbs. All these are auxiliary verbs, and in fact modals are also in the category of auxiliary verbs. Okay, now let us see next to this. Children, next to this is written here. Let me enlarge it. It is out of the margin, under margin perhaps. Yes, I think everything is under margin. Let me set a bit more. Fine, absolutely fine. Hmm. Now see children, here it is headed with common meanings of modal auxiliary verbs. So what are the common meanings? So without wasting time with these things, let us see. I'm not going to read these things, okay? As you know very well that there we do not use s or es with the modals, and we do not add ing in the modals. Modals are not changed in its second form, third form, that you have learned in the previous classes. Here we are going to discuss something in addition with the examples. In fact, it is the same that we have learned in the previous class with the uh, table that we learned there. I have also sent to you. The same thing is here, but some students said that in a different way. So here you are. Use of can or could. So here, to show or infer. Infer means to inform or to give information or to assume general ability. Okay. The example is, you can arrive any time, but you may want to be early to get a good seat. Okay. Here, you can arrive anytime. You are showing that you are free. You can arrive anytime. But you may want to be early. Means you have to be, means you should be early. Means if you want a good seat, you should come early. Otherwise, you may come anytime. Okay. Next is, she could recite the entire poem from memory. Means whatever she had learned, she could recite because she had everything in her mind. So she could recite the entire poem from memory. Because, so these things are to show, means these things are showing or inferring, means giving general ability, showing that this could happen. Ability, just simply understand that this is showing ability. Means here you learned that can and could, these two things are used to show ability. Okay. Next is, to make polite or informal request. Means can or could. Here we are discussing can and could. Okay. So next is, what can and could can describe is given with the example. It can be used to show polite or informal request. Okay. The examples are, can you leave early tomorrow? Okay. This is a request. Next is, could you give me a ride? This is also a request. But here, can is an informal and could is a formal or more polite, you can say. Okay, more polite request. Next is, I hope you would have got here, can and could. Okay, can is informal and could is also, but it is more polite than can. Okay. So next is to give permission. Here can or could may also be used to give permission. For example, somebody asked you, so what will you say? You can take a day off tomorrow. Okay, you can take a day off tomorrow if you can't find a babysitter. Okay, next is if necessary you could ask for an extension. Okay, means in addition of something. So there you are seeking for permission. So you learned here that can and could, these things can be used to show ability. These things can be used to show polite or informal request. These things can be used to give permission. Next is make a prediction. So if you want to predict something, there as well you can make use of can and could. Let us see the example. It is written here, if you work hard, you can relax. So here you are predicting. Okay, you can relax for the rest of the semester. Means this is the conditional thing. This is the conditional thing. Okay, so what you are doing? You are just making your predictions. Okay. Next example is if you continue to improve your grades. Okay, you could graduate with honors. Okay, it is written you could graduate with honors. So here again you can see that the prediction is done. Such sentence can also be said conditional sentences. Okay, now let us see will and would. Where do we make use of these things, will and would? Children, here again there are certain points which are showing what these things are used for. The first is to make a polite informal request. Again, as here this was to make polite or informal request. Here can or could was used to make polite or informal request. Again here will or would is used to show informal request. Then what is difference between can or could or will or would? Okay, see, let us find. To make a polite or informal request, will you join me for lunch? This is the question. Will you join me for a lunch? For lunch. Next is I would appreciate your assistance. I would appreciate your assistance. So would is the past form of will. Okay. Here there is no difference between will or can. Okay. Here can is also used to show polite informal request. Can you leave early tomorrow? You could also have used will you leave tomorrow? So there you will not find any difference. Okay. But here if you are making use of can, will make better impact on this because you are also seeking for somebody's ability. Okay. Okay. Next is, and here will is showing somebody's possibility. Okay. Will you join for lunch? Okay, means is there any possibility that you will join lunch with me? So here and here when you use can you leave early tomorrow, so means you are trying to find out whether it is uh, feasible for one or not, means one is able or not to do this, get up early in the morning or not. So this is here the reason for using can, and here will is used. Okay, next is would. I would appreciate your assistance means help. This is the past tense when you are making sentences in the past. If you have done any activity, so there you are describing that the done activity would be appreciated. Okay, because the activity is done in the past and now you are saying that it is matter of appreciation. Next is will or would can also be used to make formal request. Okay, when you want to make formal request, here in can or could there was nothing like formal request. Okay, there was ability, there was informal, there was permission, prediction, but here will or would can be used for making formal request. Okay, so what are the examples here? First is, will you be quiet officially? Okay, so you would have seen that at home you speak in a different way. When you are outside or in the school or at some public place, you speak differently. So as we understand what is personal or private, or what is formal or informal, so similarly you can understand these models, what is formal or informal. Okay, many of the students are quite informal at home. They call their mama tum. So it is means, since they are in habit to speak like that, they used to speak. But tum word cannot be said in public. Okay, though you word is the common in English that you speak there in English language. Okay, but still there is something formal informal in English language. Okay, though it is same, you, the word you use you is same for tum, but whenever you speak to anybody, your modals show whether you are formal or informal. Otherwise you means same, tum or aap. Okay, so here your modals tell whether you are formal or informal. Okay, and those who call their mama Tum, please write down in the chat box that I am so frank with my mama that I call her Tum. Okay, many of the people speak like that. So please write down in the chat box, I am too much formal, informal. Okay, or frank, you can say. Next is, children, would you please pay attention? Again, would can also be used for formal. Okay, next is, to show intention or indicate certainty. Means if you are certain, if you are confident that these things will happen, so there if you are making use of will, it is showing that you are a bit sure. For example, he will arrive, he will arrive at the beginning of the concert. Concert is the program of any musical instrument or playing of the instrument. So there if you say will arrive, means you are a bit sure that one you are talking about, whosoever is this, the person will 100% arrive. Okay, but when you say shall arrive, so there the possibility of arriving is dependent on act of future. Means in future it may be rainy, there may be some problem. Okay, but when you say will arrive, definitely there are more chances of his arrival. Okay, so this is the only difference. When you are showing more emphatic sentences, when you are making more emphatic sentences or laying stress on it, so there you use will. Okay, otherwise if you simply want to make a sentence about future, you will say I shall attend the class. But if you want to lay stress and make emphatical sentence, you will say I will attend the class. So there is a bit difference. Okay, next is, they would be the first students to register for the workshop. So would be is the model which is showing intention. Okay, or it is indicating, and it is written they would be the first students. Okay, this is showing that it would be certainly that these students would be the first one who would be getting themselves registered. Okay, so here the certainty is being shown with these models. Next is to make prediction. So again, if you are trying to predict, you will use will or shall. Here you can see you are using can or could to predict. Okay, and again here you are making use of will or would to predict. So what is difference? Let us see. If she receives a scholarship, she will continue with her studies. So here the possible thing is shown. The possibility is shown that that can be done in future. Okay, so you are talking about future things. Okay, you are predicting about future, but this is associated to future activities. Okay. Next is, I would be surprised if he is not elected. Okay. So again, would is the past form of will. So if he would be elected, if he would not be elected, means these things would be matter of surprise, whether he is elected, not elected, such things. So these are conditional sentences. Again here, the conditional sentences which were used in the form of prediction. So let us see here. If you work hard, so here the ability is also shown here. Okay, if you work hard, ability is also shown here. You can relax. So implying ability, they are making predictions. Okay, implying ability, they are making predictions. And here, if she receives scholarship, means here the act of receiving scholarship is completely dependent on future activity. Okay, this act of scholarship is completely dependent on future activity. So here, when you make a use of will or would to indicate prediction, you are completely showing future activity. Okay, nothing is certain, but when you are making use of can or could to show prediction, there some sort of ability is being shown. Somewhere your action, involved action, is shown there for the future responses, okay, or consequences. So this is only difference between the use of can could for prediction or will would for prediction. Next is shall and should. Children, here shall or should, the use is shown here with the examples. To show intention, we shall welcome. So here intention is shown. It is also used to show that to make a polite or informal request. So if you want to make polite or informal request, could was also polite request, would was also polite request, should is also polite request. Okay. So shall I open it for you? But it is informal. Okay. Would is more polite, could is polite, would is more polite. As I told you, shall is polite, could is polite, would is polite. All three are polite. Now you would be confused that if all three are polite, then what is the difference? The difference is that shall is informal, could is more polite than shall, and would is more polite than could. Okay. So this is the only difference, that the degree of politeness is growing. Okay, when you use could and when you use would. Another is use of should to indicate expectations. So if you are having any expectation, you will use you should receive a new credit card in the mail. So this is expected. This is something you are expecting. Okay. So there, to show expectations. Next is to suggest or provide advice. To suggest or provide advice, as I told you in the previous class, that there is difference between suggestion and advice. Suggestion can be given by anybody, okay, but the advices are given by the experts only. Advice is only given by expert only. So here, to suggest or provide, here it can be used, what can be used? Should can be used to give advice. Should can be used to show your expectation. Okay, indicate your expectation that these things may happen. Okay. Should can be used to give advice. The example is, if you expect to pass exam, you should devote more time to study. So this is the advice. What advice is given? To devote more time to study. So this is the advice. Okay. To infer responsibility or obligation, means to give responsibility or obligation, to show responsibility or obligation. We should work together to protect the environment. So here should can also be used to show obligation or responsibility, your moral duty. Should can also be used to show moral duty. Next is use of may or might. So similarly, as you were using can or could, here may or might, but there is a bit difference. See here, may to make a formal request. There can was to make an informal request. Here may is used to make a formal request. May I speak with you in my office? You might want to reconsider your request. So might is past form of may. Next is to show permission. Okay, to request permission here, might or may can also be used to get permission. May I leave class early today? May I come in? The very common model for you, as you will perhaps use daily in the school. Okay, how many of you make use of this model daily in the school? Please write down in the chat box. Those who make use of may model daily in the school. Next is might. Uh, might I have a word with you? So here again you are seeking for permission, might, but the difference is that might is showing very less chances. Okay, means you are making request in the way that you are showing, means is there any way, is there any chance that I may talk to you? Have a word means talk to you. Okay, next is to show possibility. If there is any possibility and you want to show, there you can make use may or might. Okay, so I think that this would be quite clear to you. I may want to schedule at least at yes, one more appointment. Okay, we might attend the next meeting. So their possibilities are being shown with the help of may or might. Next is prediction. Okay, children, next is prediction. So if you want to predict, so again, if you want to predict, what you are doing, if we cooperate with the opposition, it may be to our advantage. Means if it happens, if we do, okay, so there are chances that it may happen, that we may be in advantage. I might get there late. You are showing possibility by using might, but I will be in class tomorrow. Okay, next is must, and that's all, because some of the conditionals are given that we shall not discuss. Okay, next is must, to indicate necessity. So if there is any necessity, if you think that certain things are important, okay, demand of the time, call for the duty, so there you will make use of must. So we must respond as soon as possible. Okay, to show necessity you will use. To infer a logical assumption, okay, means to get that this is really correct. So there you will say, since she is not to her desk, she must have already left for the day. Okay, now children, let us do some exercises. We have there you are. Quickly, let us go through these things. Can is used to show potential ability. It is highlighted here. Ability, ability, permission. Could is again here. The examples are given. I will give you this PDF. You can go through it. Okay. It will make the things quite clear to you. Okay. Now do this exercise. You have 2 minutes only, children. And then I will give you the answers and the class will get over. Children, it's time to answer you. You can match. The first is, we dash be delighted to meet your son. Here would be will be the correct answer. Okay. Second is, I am sorry, I will behave better next time. So here will, okay, because you are giving your surety. Okay. Next is, here first is, be delighted to meet your son. You are showing your politeness. Okay. Next is, you dash be ashamed of yourself. You should be. Fourth is, you should not lie. Okay. You should not lie. And if you are instructing somebody, you will say you will not lie. Okay. So in the way the possibilities are. Fifth is, I dash call your parents today. I will your call your parents today or shall. Okay. Both are correct. Next is, you. You should try to lose weight. Okay. And if you are making emphatical, you will say you must try. Must is option is not given in this. So you will use you should. Okay. Seventh is will. Eighth is shall or will. Both are possible here in eighth. Okay. Ninth is shall or should. Both are possible. You should do as you are told. Or if you are using threatening, okay, so there you will use you shall. You shall do as you are told. Here you can see here threat. See here, this is shall, use of shall. Okay. Next is, children, 10th, would. I would be much obliged to you for all the kindness you have shown. And 11th is, I will certainly help you. And last 12th is should. You should apologize for your behavior. Okay. And rest of the exercises are your homework you will do. I hope you would have got the things uh, easily, and this time the things would be quite clear to you. So that's all, children. In the next class we shall meet again with some other topic, and take care. Have a nice day. Thank you.